Hi, I'm Samantha Sommersby.
And I'm Jeanne Stein.
And together we write as S.J. Harper.
And we're here in beautiful San Diego at Comic-Con to celebrate the upcoming release of our new book, Cursed, which we're writing in collaboration. It's first of a new series.
Did you say an October 1st release?
October 1st release.
Yes. All right. And actually, it's ironic that we're here in San Diego around the time of the release talking about this, because this was where the germ of the idea of Cursed was born. 2 years ago, we met for breakfast.
Yes.
Right after you had met with your editor,
Yep.
Jessica. And at that time, Penguin had just contracted for the last of the Anna Strong Vampire series.
Yes.
And they had suggested that you start getting ready to pitch a new series idea, and they were hoping for something with some romance crossover.
Yes.
And romance wasn't something that you'd written before, and I was at a point where I had been writing paranormal romance and was wanting to kind of dip my toe into the water of writing something more police procedural, something that had more hardcore urban fantasy.
Right.
And so things just really seemed to come together.
Yes.
So,
and it was really at the next October at Dragon Con when we got together again and sat down and actually started being serious about putting together a series, a book. And we started throwing out plot ideas. We came up with our protagonists. We came up with the basic plot line. And from there,
the rest is history.
The rest is history. We put together a proposal, and my agent loved it, took it to my editor, who bought it. So now we're on the road of a brand new series.
Mm-hmm. And book 2 is what, 2/3 of the way?
We're just about
done
finished
right now.
with book 2, so we're really in the middle of it now.
You know, one question that I get a lot is, how do we collaborate? How is the writing process unfolding? And also, is it different writing with a partner than writing by myself? And I've never asked you this before, but I'm not sure what your writing process was like before we started collaborating, but mine is so much more structured now.
Mine too.
And I used to come up with an idea and then just it would start flowing, and the way that I wrote was a very organic process. And now, and I think it's because when you're working with someone, you have to make sure that that vision is really shared, and that, you know, the way I picture Zach Armstrong is the way you picture Zach Armstrong. You know, the way I picture Emma's little cottage in Mission Hills is the same way that you do. And so we actually spent a lot of time preparing
before we started
writing. So we spent months, you know, collecting photographs and doing floor plans of where the people lived and that scene list. Do you want to talk a little bit about how the writing process actually, you know, has unfolded?
And it has changed for me as well, because writing in collaboration, the first thing we had to do was come up with the plot, and we had to decide how we were going to do it. I live in Denver, Sam lives in San Diego, so it wasn't like we could get together every couple of days and do, you know, and exchange writing. So what we decided, the first thing we did was sit down and completely plot out the story, and we plotted it out scene by scene, so that I would write scene 1 and 2, Sam would take scene 3 and 4, and then we would send it to each other, do our corrections, you know, make whatever changes we wanted, and then go on from there. Excuse me. But it has really structured my writing process too, because it's very easy when you're working on something by yourself to get distracted, and I am very easily distracted. But I know that I have to get pages to Sam within a certain amount of time, and it's a deadline. It's a deadline, and I'm much better working on deadlines.
Well, and knowing that, you know, you can't really go further until I send you my piece of it. And it's not so structured that we're boxed in. There's been plenty of times where like yesterday we were talking about a scene and we were like, wait a minute, this happened way too early. And that's where we said it was going to happen, but now it's like we need to move that to a little bit.
Right.
It's a great scene, we don't want to cut it, but let's just move it to a little bit later in the book. That wasn't something that was supposed to happen for Emma right there at that particular time. It needed to happen a little bit later.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings us to the topic of Emma, like,
Yes.
you know,
Who is Emma?
you know, the character, how did we come up with her, what are her struggles?
We wanted a different protagonist. I had done vampires, Sam had done vampires, we've all done shapeshifters and werewolves, and we've
I've done lots of humans.
lots of humans. But we wanted something that was a little bit different. And so the picture that you have on your wall.
Yeah, I have a set of paintings on the wall in my living room that a friend, a local artist here in San Diego named Molly Kellogg, did of Hades and Persephone. And her husband, who's also a writer and a poet, wrote this lovely poem that was a letter that Hades had written to Persephone. And I've spent a lot of time looking at those paintings and thinking about the relationship between Hades and Persephone, and that kind of led me to just of this idea of what it would be like for Persephone's mother and father, and you know, to all of a sudden lose their daughter. And then suddenly there was this germ of an idea of, how about if we use sirens as Persephone's playmates, but also guardians, and you know, that they would have been given this role of guarding Persephone, and Demeter being extremely upset, enraged, you know, with them because they were not able to prevent the kidnapping and weren't able to save Persephone. So I kind of pitched that to Jeanne, and then the story started to evolve and the mythology started to evolve from there. So we have Emma, who is one of 3 sirens, who is cursed by Demeter for failing to protect Persephone, and she has been banished to this world, and she's stuck here until she redeems herself in a way that Demeter is going to deem sufficient. And the way she is trying to do that is by saving the lives of missing persons here on Earth, and she's been doing it for thousands of years. But she also has a curse on top of that to make life a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, she part of her curse is that she has to live as a mortal, but she cannot ever experience real love. Now, she can feel real love, but she puts the object of her affection in danger if they fall in love. So she's constantly battling this idea that she's here on Earth, she's human in every respect except the one of being immortal, and the fact that she's
destined to be alone.
Yes,
right?
thank you.
she can't, she knows that if she falls in love with someone and they love her back, that what she's doing is
she's putting them in danger.
She is putting them in mortal danger. So that's something that she feels is completely unattainable, and that she's never going to have, and she's going to suffer, you know, forever here on Earth.
And of course, that gave us the romantic element of our story, because she would fall in love with
we have
her
star-crossed
partner.
lovers.
We have star-crossed lovers. She would fall in love with someone and realize that it can't happen.
It just can't possibly be.
It just can't possibly be. So she's falling in love and he's falling in love, and then the dilemma is, what is she going to do about it? She has to protect herself, but she has to protect him.
Because she loves him. Yeah.
Because she loves him.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's the obstacle that needs to be overcome. And, you know, our hero, Zach Armstrong, is a pretty compelling guy. So it's totally understandable why Emma falls in love with him, and why she makes the sacrifice of her own happiness, you know, in order to try and protect him. So, and because this is a series, we have several books over which this, you know, can all play out.
Zach's past is also tortured. He's also fighting deeds that he's done in his early life.
Oh, we should
He's
say
trying to
Zach's a
atone
werewolf.
for.
Did
Zach
we say
is a
that?
werewolf. We didn't say that. Zach is a werewolf.
Zach is a
Sorry.
werewolf.
Zach is a werewolf.
For
yes.
for people that don't know.
Yes. But it's more than just that. He has things that he's done in his past. He has a kind of a mysterious past that Emma uncovers, and it's because of the things he did in that past that he also is rather a tortured character.
And on his own path of redemption.
Yes,
I mean, we
and
really
he's on
have
his own path of redemption.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at your typical fantasy novel and the fact that, you know, we have heroes that are on their own journey, we actually, these aren't really, we have co-protagonists. We have two people that are very strong characters, each of which are very interesting, I think, in their own right, and have their own journey.
Yes.
And that journey, again, things don't completely get resolved at the end of this book. So although there's strong romantic elements, the romance readers will know there's not a clear-cut happily ever after at the end of this particular book. There's definitely more to come and issues that are going to be revealed in book 2. And at the end of the first book, there's an introduction of a third really strong and interesting character.
And this is one of those things that oftentimes happens when you're writing. You write a walk-on character.
Yeah.
Someone who's just supposed to be in a scene, and then your beta readers read this character and go, oh, he's wonderful, you have to bring him back. So this happened to one of our characters, and this is what we've done, and he's really turned out to be a terrific character. And I think in this book there is something for everyone. There's something for the lovers of paranormal, there's romance, there's sex that she writes, which is great. She writes
There's a
great
mystery
sex.
to be solved.
There's a mystery to be solved. And I have to tell this, that my critique group, our writing styles are so much alike that really they can't tell what I've written and what Sam's written until it comes to the sex scenes. And she's so much better that they always say to me, you didn't write this. Sam wrote this, didn't she? So I'm hoping that some of that will rub off on me. So I will. I'll learn how to write. You have to teach me how to write.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. But kind of going back to Callistos, our third really strong character, one of the interesting things that her critique group said after they read it was like, wow, this character is great, but you need to tone him down because he like completely steals the scene from Emma and Zach, and you know, so you need to tone him down. So we're like, really? Okay. So we worked on that. We toned it down, and then when we submitted it to our editor, one of the first things she did was call us and say, this character Callistos at the end, you need to tone him down.
Right.
We're like, more? We need to tone him down more?
But actually, this is one of the times where we really kind of stood up for ourselves and said, no, we really don't need to tone him down.
Because he's going to be really a major player in book 2.
And
he is.
He's a strong personality, and there's a reason he's a strong personality, and it's necessary.
Well, I think we can say he's a 2,000-year-old vampire. So he's been around for a long time, and he's a king. So, you know, he is used to being in a position of power and being in control. And, you know, when you're a 2,000-year-old vampire who has a pretty substantial kingdom, you don't have to take guff from anybody.
And so we just channeled Callistos and said, no. And actually, we got away with it, so I think you're going to love him. I think you're going to love this character.
Yeah.
But there is something for everyone, I think, in these books, and we do hope that you'll give them a try.
And love them and the characters as much as we do.
Too, so that we can be back with even more.
And cut. I can only remember 3 things at a time.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Hi, I'm Samantha Sommersby. No, that was bad. Take 8.
Okay. Oh, can we have an outtake reel at the end of this? All right.
Bing, 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 bing.
That's right. I'll start.
No, we have it ready this way.
right,
Okay.
go,
All
okay.
right.